Should you buy Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp? Well, the answer is fairly simple. Are you looking for a long-form single-player story campaign with some comfortable strategy with lots of fun characters and challenge maps and things like that for you to play on your own time? Then yes. Yes, you probably should buy Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. But are you looking for a robust suite of online multiplayer features, the ability to play with other players around the world, and easily share custom-made maps that could be all sorts of things from funny to challenging to just simply entertaining? Then no. No, you probably don't want to buy Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. If that's all that you wanted to know, then feel free to click away from the video now, but consider dropping a like and a sub before you go. If you want to know more, I would suggest you watch on. Hello everyone, my name is Tom, otherwise known as TitaniumLegman, and if you find this video fun, entertaining, educational, or helpful in answering the question of should you buy this game, then please do consider subscribing, leaving a like. I'm a small creator, making YouTube my full-time career, trying to reach 15k subs by the end of the year, and I need all the help that I can get to get my videos seen in the screaming maelstrom that is YouTube. So if you could help with that, that'd be great. Yes, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Clearly you're here because you wanted to know more about this topic, whether you should buy the game, what my first impressions are of it, all that type of good stuff. And I mean, I'm recording this literally right off the back of me playing the game for 8 straight hours on release day. And I loved every second. I adored every second of playing this game. And yes, I'm probably a little biased, seeing as how I played both Advance Wars 1 and 2 growing up, then Days of Ruin, wound up picking up Dual Strike later on, loved all of the games, I adore them, and as a fan of Intelligent Systems, their Fire Emblem series, Advance Wars, it's not surprising that I've been enjoying Reboot Camp. But I am trying to keep a little bit of an objective mind, looking at what the game is, what it isn't, in comparison to its original self and just modern games in general. And so beyond just giving my impressions, I figured it would be an appropriate time to do my first Should You Buy video, because I know a lot of people are on the fence with this one. So first, let's talk about the negatives, because I think it's good to get that out of the way so we can talk about the positives and why I've been enjoying the game so much, why I'm planning on playing it for another good chunk of the day tomorrow. The biggest negatives in Reboot Camp, from what I have seen thus far, are threefold. First, the art style. This is a commonly discussed point. Anyone who's been at all interested in the game, who's been looking into it, waiting for it, anticipating it, anything like that, has either themselves talked about the art style or has seen other people talking about the art style. On the one side of things, we've got beautiful animated cutscenes, cut-in little cinematics for all of the COs when they're activating their powers, and just really fun, bouncy, entertaining art for all of the characters. And I think it's great. WayForward did a great job with all the character designs, converting it into their style while still having it feel like Advance Wars in a lot of ways. Character actions feel dynamic when they're activating their CO powers. It's exciting every time it happens. I love that. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Not as good and popular is the actual art style for the game's battles and its units. And that was the first thing that people in my chat when I was streaming pointed out. How they didn't like just how cartoony it felt, how plasticky it felt. One person talked about how it felt like playing with army men in the sandbox. Another person talked about how it looked cheap or unfinished. And I'm not an artist, okay? That's a well-known fact. I am not an artist. I have nothing but respect for artists. Artists are incredible. But I do agree with those sentiments for the most part. I don't think it necessarily looks unfinished, as some people were saying, but when you compare to the rest of the games in the Advance Wars series, yes, you still had the bright primary colors, and yes, it was still not a serious depiction of war, unless we're talking about Days of Ruin, which is a whole other beast. But things felt a little bit more grounded. Video gamey, but not cartoony. That line has been crossed here. That is a threshold that we are no longer contained within. We've moved beyond the bounds of what feels like a video game and what does in fact feel kind of cartoony in the way things look. But I think that is a change that was deliberately made even before the game got delayed due to world events. But just because of the current climate and the current atmosphere of the public towards things like war and conflict, and it's not a game, it's very serious, and I feel like Nintendo made that choice to make this art style as simplistic and friendly and soft as possible in order to not come across as glorifying or promoting war, which, fair enough. I'm not going to dispute that. There's plenty of games that do, and that's fine, and I don't actually personally see anything wrong with that, but I get why Nintendo and WayForward might want to do what they did. Is it a shame? I think so. But I also get it. So, art style, that's the issue. If you don't like it, I mean, it's literally going to be the thing you're looking at 90% of the time in the game, so it might be a reason for you to not want to buy it. I'm coming around to it a lot. I'm enjoying it a lot now, but that might be buoyed by the fact that the rest of the game is so good. So, take it with a grain of salt. That's a decision that you have to make for yourself. The other two major points. Sound design. A little weird sometimes. Again, a little soft. It feels like they took the softness of the designs of the units and the map and applied it to some of the sound effects as well to lessen the impact. I'm missing some of the raw, realistic, mechanical sounds, explosions, effects that we had in all of the other Advance Wars games on the Game Boy Advance and on the DS. There's a particular sound that happens when an artillery unit, for example, in 1 and 2, Advance Wars 1 and 2, the original releases, those artillery units make when their cannons rise before they fire. And then they all fire nearly in unison, but just out of sync. So there's this boom, 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 that happens every time artillery fires, and it feels powerful, and it feels strong and impactful. And it's what you would expect from high-powered artillery firing across a battlefield. We don't get that here. Everything feels a little muted, a little bit toned down. And again, I'm not sure if that was to line up with the whole trying to not glorify war thing that I feel like they're going for here, or if it's just a sound design choice with modern sound design, modern recording equipment, all that type of stuff. I don't know. I have no idea, but it definitely didn't resonate with me. I'm missing a little bit of that punchiness of the sound design, but that's a relatively minor thing. It's just something I made note of when I was doing my stream. And then finally, possibly the biggest issue, the art style being kind of the thing that hits you first, but I think the biggest problem with the game is the incredibly bare bones online multiplayer offering. And this is something a lot of people have been talking about as the game has been coming out, and people have been getting their hands on it. There's next to no online support. There is an online mode where you can battle with any friends who are online literally right then. You can invite them to a match, but it's one-on-one. I don't even know what options you have available in terms of setting up a match, because I couldn't look at the options because I didn't have a friend online, so I couldn't even make a match. There's no online, like 3 or 4 player battles. There's no matchmaking. If you don't have other people who you know who play the game, you're SOL. You just can't play online. And that is such a huge miss to me. Like, Advance Wars is the perfect game to have an online multiplayer component, and for that component to be taken seriously. People play competitively through things like Advance Wars by Web, a web extension, a web browser, and have been doing so for years. There's a huge competitive scene for Advance Wars, and Nintendo's absolutely missing out on an opportunity to have more people get the game, specifically so that they can play online with people, when they would normally be doing that through something like Advance Wars by Web. And it's just not there. And that's baffling to me. I don't get it. I don't understand why that would be a decision that would be made. I doubly don't get it when you look at the other side of multiplayer with this game, where you can have up to 4 players on one console playing together in couch co-op, or you can have multiple people with their own consoles all playing the game by linking their consoles together like GBA style, just wirelessly. So that functionality is there. They just, I guess, didn't want servers or to set up or be responsible for matchmaking or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what reason there would be, but I can't think of a good reason why they would not do this. It's possible people have suggested that maybe this could be something that would be patched. I don't know. Possibly. I don't know how server structure work, how patches works, nothing like that. If they could, if that's something that WayForward could make happen and actually have multiplayer be a fully fleshed out component of this game, I would say it's an instant buy, even ignoring the art style. I think that would be phenomenal. But unfortunately, until something like that happens, if you are someone who enjoys multiplayer and would want to be able to play this online with people, I can't recommend it, because otherwise you're going to be stuck going on Discords and Reddit communities and getting people's friends codes and trying to organize things out of game. And yes, it can be done. People do it all the time. But it's 2023, man. Like, have some functional online multiplayer. That's all I'm saying. But that said, I want to move on from the negatives, because there's so much more that's positive about this game. Again, I didn't sit there playing it for 8 hours straight, intensely focused, because the game sucked. The game's awesome. The game is phenomenal. The music, every single piece of the OST from the original 2 games has been remixed and remastered and completely redone, and it's all beautiful. It's so good. My heart sang the second I heard the menu theme, because it was so nostalgic, even though it's new and slightly different, but so nostalgic nonetheless. Every single CO has their own theme. Every single CO has their own remixed theme as well for when you activate your own CO power. That's separate from all of the others. And it just adds a level of intensity and dynamic action to the game that I was not expecting, but I adore it. The voice acting has been solid. Nothing to write home about, but it's also not majorly present. There's only certain lines that are voiced, and for the most part, I've been happy with all the voices in the game. It doesn't make me cringe or detract from anything for me, so that's cool. The actual gameplay itself is just as solid as it has always been, and it seems like if there have been any tweaks or changes to the way the game functioned originally back on the GBA, they're extremely minor. Because all the things that I even expected to be changed, like Max's CO power being completely busted, or Max being busted as a character, different little tricks and traits of the AI, like them always going after your APCs first and being able to kind of use those as meat shields as a result. All of those little things that were familiar to me, even after having not played the game for years, still worked. And that felt awesome. I love that. Does that mean that there may be some broken things that should have been changed? Like maybe some balance changes to some COs? Maybe. I haven't encountered all the COs yet, let alone the COs from Advance Wars 2. Don't know how that's going to be, but the game feels just like it did, despite being completely rebuilt from the ground up, and that's insane to me. It's just as crisp as it was back in the day, and it sucked me in just as easily, and I love it. As far as offerings in terms of content are concerned, I mean, this game is vast. Yes, I blew through a chunk of the first campaign in 8 hours, but I mean, that's 8 hours, first of all, is a pretty good amount of time. And that's only following certain missions. There is variation in mission structure in both games. You'll play through multiple times to find everything. There's different difficulty modes. There's all the different COs to unlock. There's a massive offering of things in the War Room challenge maps, different maps that you can take on for fun to earn more coins, to unlock different bits of music and art and concept art and all sorts of different stuff, which is all really high quality. You can sink so much time into this game, because remember, this is 2 games. This is Advance Wars 1 and 2 in one game together. So like the $60 price tag, I think is completely justified, because it's not even like this is just like an HD upscale. This is completely rebuilt from the ground up, 2 games together, all of this content for you to sink your teeth into if you enjoy it. I cannot possibly recommend it enough. I think it is phenomenal. And I definitely see myself spending a bunch of time on this game, whether on the channel or just in my own time, because it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. The fact that you can have up to 4 people in couch co-op is super cool, makes it a fun party game, makes it so that if you have roommates or anyone who kind of shares your interests that you see in person on a regular basis, you can sit down and play a few matches and have a great time with only 1 copy of the game on a console. Or if you have a bunch of friends who have Switches and have their own copies of the game, y'all can all meet up IRL and sit and have some drinks and eat some food and have a good time and play some strategy games, play some war games. It's awesome. And yes, if you're someone who enjoys Fire Emblem and enjoys the world building, character-driven action, stuff like that, the RPG elements, that's not here, but that's never what Advance Wars has been or ever was meant to be. It's not a part of the game. It's all about strategic thinking, building your army, maneuvering things properly. It's war games, and it's a blast. I am extremely happy with everything that I've played. I can't say that I can give the game a particular score. I'm not going to sit here and review it, because again, I've only played 8 hours, but just on its face, I can't possibly imagine anything that would cause me to say that you should not get this game if you're not put off by the art style or the lack of multiplayer capabilities, which again is a big negative, but if you want to be able to just play the campaigns, have a good time, or play IRL with a group of friends, I highly, highly recommend it. You will absolutely get your money's worth, both in terms of sheer content and in raw fun. So I think that's pretty much all that I have to say about it. I've been loving my time with the game. I can't wait to get back to it, even though I literally just played it for 8 hours. I have a bunch of future content that I'm planning, different things about how to recruit different COs through the campaign, tips for beginners, all that types of stuff. So if you want to see more of that, show your support for this video, show your support on the streams, and I'll do what I can to get it out there as fast as possible. But that said, I think I'm going to wrap this one up here. Thank you all so much for watching. I do very much appreciate it. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as TitaniumLegman. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Maybe consider subscribing if you're not already. And with all that said, I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.